In this video, I'll show you how you can create a moving watermark in CapCut. So this is just an example movement, but you can make any movement that you want that matches your watermark. So let me show you how you can do it on the computer. So first we need to have a finished video. I wouldn't go watermarking anything until you've finished the timeline, just in case you mess things up. You need to re-edit, you need to readjust the clip. Once you have a finalized video, then I would add the watermark. Now you need to make the choice. Do you want to add your logo as a watermark, or do you want to add a text watermark? If you want to add a logo, go to import in the top left hand corner, click on import, and then upload your logo, which should be in a PNG format with a transparent background. I'm going to use text for this example, but if you're using your logo, you can follow along with these exact same instructions. It works the exact same way. So for most of you, click on text and then drag on default text. Now, I'm using default text and not any of these effects because a watermark should be subtle and it should just say who owns the clip. What we're going to do, we're going to click on the text and I'm going to double click here and we're going to change it to KnowledgeBase. So now I've changed it to KnowledgeBase. We can go ahead and highlight this text and we can change the font if needed. Now I would just choose something which is bold, which people can resonate with your logo, which can be easily seen. So I'm going to go with this font here. I'm also going to click bold. I'm going to increase the font size. And what you also need to do, because this is white and it's full opacity, you need to click on your watermark and you are going to need to scroll all the way down and you need to go to opacity. So it's about halfway down, sorry, not all the way down. But once you get to opacity, you can bring this down to whatever opacity you feel comfortable with. So maybe that's 24 for me. It will differ depending on lighting and the colors that you have in your clip. You may also need to change the color to black if you can't really see it or if your video has a lot of white notes in it. So right now, I think 24 is good for me in terms of the opacity. You could also adjust this later, so don't get too caught up on this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that our watermark starts and ends where it needs to be. So for me, that is the start and the end of this clip. So we'll drag it to the start and end. So now we've got a clip and we've got a text which covers all of the clip. Now I'm going to move this to our starting location. So we're going to move the cursor or the selection tool all the way to the start of the clip. Make sure the text is dragged all the way to the start. And I'm going to move the watermark to the starting location, which in my case is going to be here. So now let's get it to move. So you want to click on your text. You then want to go to this window in the top left-hand corner. And on the same window that you were customizing the color and the opacity, you're looking for the transform tool. And just under the transform tool, you've got uniform scale and you've got the position. Now this is how we're going to create the moving watermark. So follow along. So the position here, you got X and Y. That's all you need to know about moving it anywhere on screen. Now you need to do this by adding a keyframe. Now keyframes essentially just make a point of the movement and the position of a clip or an object, or in our case, our watermark. So let's first add the starting keyframe. So click add keyframe. Make sure that your cursor here is at the start of your clip or at the start of the movement. So now we've added one keyframe and you can see it's added it to the start. Now you need to move forward as many seconds as you want the first kind of like movement to be. So let's say in 3 seconds, as you can see here, I want this watermark to move all the way to the bottom of the screen. So now I've moved the cursor from the start to 3 seconds. We can now drag this text all the way down and I'm going to drag it below the screen. And you can see when you make that movement, it adds a new keyframe. So right now, let's just see if it is moving. So if we go ahead and scrub back here, you can see it's the starting position and it moves into the position that we've moved it to. It is very simple stuff. Again, then we can go ahead and move further down the timeline. And let's say now we want to move it back. So now we can move it back up here. And now it will go through these motions. And whatever you tell it to do, it will do. And you'll be able to zoom in on your keyframes and you can see them. Now, once you play this clip, you will understand. So we start off in the starting position. It then goes to the secondary position. It then goes back to the third position. And you can do this for as many positions as you want. and you can also copy and paste these keyframes as well instead of having to do them manually. But yeah, you can just get this to move around wherever you want. So let's say we want it to now end in the middle. So here you can see on the final movement, it ends in the middle. There are a lot of stuff you can do with keyframes, but this has been a basic overview, and that's how you can essentially get text or your watermark to move. I hope that was helpful. You can then go and export, and that's pretty much all you need to do.